Good morning. Thanks again for joining me with Story Time with Joyce. And we're reading from my book, Betty. And last week we read about Another New Beginning, was chapter 15. And Betty and Arvin had another new beginning. They moved into a bigger apartment, which was really nice. Now each child has Ruth has her own bedroom and Carol has her own bedroom. And the other new beginning was that Betty decided that she'd go back and get some domestic work to bring in some extra money, and she wanted to cut down on the alcohol brewing, bootlegging a little bit. And Arvin's still lying to Betty about working. She thinks that he's working part-time, and he's not. He's just taken over a house of prostitution from this lady named Lori. So this chapter is chapter 17. And it has got a title, Three Boys, Lions, and Tigers. So let's see what's going on here. So Betty walked into the agency and approached the lady sitting at the desk. "Good morning. Is Marie here?" Betty asked. The lady responded, "No, she hasn't been here for over 7 years. My name is Elaine. How can I help you?" "My name is Betty, and she got me a job many years ago when I first came to the city. I'm now looking to get another domestic job. I cooked for Dr. Russell and his twins for many years. I'm sure he would give me a good reference. He worked at Mercy Hospital," Betty said. "Betty, what is your full name?" Elaine asked. "Betty Jameson. Our files don't go back but 5 years, so I'm going to have to ask you to fill out this paperwork. I'm sure things have changed for you anyway." "Yes, they sure have. I'll be glad to fill this out, just as long as I can get me some work. I'm sure we will have something for you. I'll look while you finish the paperwork." Betty nodded, smiled, and continued to finish filling out the paperwork. Elaine was thumbing through her files when she stopped and said, "Mrs. Jameson, I do have something in our North Shore district. It's a town called Northbrook. Now, it is far, however, there is a train that goes out that way. My friend Serena lives with a family in Northbrook. She says it's kind of far. If you have anything closer, that would be better. If not, then I'll listen about Northbrook." Elaine went through some of the papers on her desk and offered Betty another option. "I have a family in the Lincoln Park area near the zoo who needs someone to watch their 3 young children, 2, 3, and 4 years old. I've had this request for quite some time. Can't seem to get someone to take over these 3 children. Elaine, I can do it. I practically raised my brothers and sisters, and I have 2 children of my own. The Lincoln Park area will be easier for me to get to than Northbrook. Tell me more about these children." Elaine read from one of the papers and said, "Let me see. They are all boys, Johnny, Eddie, and Jimmy. Jimmy is the oldest, and Johnny is the baby. Mr. Altman works out of town and is home on the weekends. Mrs. Altman wants help with the boys. I'm not sure if cooking is a part of the duties or not. Are you interested in this family?" "Yes, I am. When can I start?" Betty said excitedly. "Right after we get your references from Dr. Russell. That shouldn't take too long if he still works at Mercy Hospital. Do you have a telephone?" "Yes, we just got one. I put our number down on the paper I filled out." "Good. We will call you as soon as we get in touch with Dr. Russell." "Thank you, Elaine. I'll be waiting for your call." Betty left hoping she'd hear from Elaine soon. She knew that Dr. Russell would give her good references if Elaine could find him. Her mind went to the twins and reflected on the first day she met them. She could feel flutters in her heart when thinking about Dr. Russell when he told her she was part of their family. So much time has passed since then. She is not that naive 18-year-old girl from Kentucky anymore. Her thoughts moved to what she would make for dinner now that she was approaching their apartment. When she got home, Arvin was sitting at the kitchen table. Betty, surprised, said, "Arvin, why are you home so early?" "Yes, my day was short. I will be working every day but short hours. Did the agency have something for you?" Before Betty could answer Arvin, the telephone rang. Betty ran to the phone, and after she hung up, she told Arvin about her conversation at the agency. "That was the call to tell me that I got the job with a family taking care of 3 little boys. That was fast. The agency called Dr. Russell, and he told them I was a good, loyal worker. I'm glad that agency got a hold of him so quick. And I'm glad you're working short hours, so you'll be here when Carol gets home from school. Betty, what about the brewing? When will you do that?" Arvin, I'll cut our brewing days down to the weekends. Some of our customers have gone into business for themselves anyway. Most of our customers are those cop friends of yours and those highfalutin city officials. I'd like to stop brewing altogether, Betty responded, very tersely. Arvin didn't respond. Betty prepared and made supper in silence, and they ate in the same way. Arvin went on deceiving Betty, and Betty went to work every day taking care of Johnny, Eddie, and Jimmy. Their brewing was winding down since there was talk about prohibition coming to an end. People like Betty and Arvin had been running illegal alcohol operations, and some of these people had plenty of money with which to pay bribes. Bribes because there were very few federal agents, and because local police were easily bribed, the illegal operations couldn't completely be stopped. Cops frequented individuals like Betty and Arvin, or kept what they confiscated from the raids for their drink. Due to the tremendous rise of organized crime, Prohibition failed and came to an end just before Christmas in 1933. By 1933, when the Great Depression reached its lowest point, some 13 to 15 million Americans were unemployed, and nearly half of the country's banks had failed. Chicago was one of the hardest hit cities due to the city's dependence on manufacturing. So we're going to stop here because this chapter is a little long, and next week we'll pick up where the lions, tigers, and three boys comes in. So have a great week. Just to let you know, you can go to JoyceBennett-Hall.com and you can buy my Betty there, or my second book, Ruth, or now my third book, Carol, or you can go to Amazon.com, and all books are written by Joyce Bennett-Hall. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.